Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Welcome to episode 307 Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the stories of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. So we have a guest professor in the building, guest lecturer, Stephen Gaither of HBCU Gameday. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWA 30 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Fame, the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Charles, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing well, Dr. Cavil. I mean, I've enjoyed this week 3 of HBCU football. I think it checked all the boxes. We got out-of-conference wins. We got upsets. And, of course, another Jackson State win. So I'll take that.
Boy, it's a blowout. Jackson State win. Jackson State blowout. Just beating up on folks. I see what's going on. Stephen Gaither, how you doing today?
Doing well, Dr. Cavil. Thank you for having me on and letting me visit. As you can see, they've already moved on to basketball in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So, but other than that, I'm doing well. I'm really excited to be on and talk about some of the great HBCU football that's going on around the country. So I'm excited.
No doubt. You know, I CIAA specialist, really HBCU specialist in so many different ways, but obviously home and heart, grew up right there in CIAA country. And so we're going to make sure that we get really in touch with our CIAA feelings. And it sounds like Stephen Gaither is already in those. So it won't be hard for us to carry on. But we'll get to it and have some fun while we do it. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. Today's show will be good as we discuss the latest HBCU news in sports. With that being said, let me go to Professor Bishop over there. What's some of the hot news out there in your opinion? What's on your mind?
Yeah, let's start off. Let's go with the SWAC Players of the Week, SWAC Football Weekly Honors. So the Southwestern Athletic Conference named Jackson State Shedeur Sanders, Aubrey Miller Jr., and Simeon Wilkerson, all along with Texas Southern's Richard Garcia as its SWAC Football Players of the Week for their outstanding performances. Let's take a look at the Offensive Player of the Week, Shedeur Sanders. He accounted for a career high 6 touchdowns, 4 passing, 2 rushing during Jackson State's 66-24 win over Grambling. He completed 24-34 for 357 yards, and Sanders threw touchdown passes of 7, 26, 86, and 23 yards to go with runs of 1 and 15. Defensive Player of the Week, Aubrey Miller. He contributed 8 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 pass breakup, 1 quarterback hurry against Grambling this past weekend. His forced fumble against Grambling on the first drive of the game led to a turnover and Jackson State's first touchdown of the contest. Richard Garcia, key contributor for Texas Southern this past weekend in their defeat of Southern 24-0. He averaged 46.2 yards on 5 punts with a long of 57, and it was highlighted by 2 50-yard punts. And then, of course, the newcomer Louis Simeon Wilkerson, 23 rushes, 141 yards, and 2 touchdowns in his first start for Jackson State. So those are the SWAC Players of the Week.
Usually I just let you say your stuff and move on to it. But before I go to Gaither to get his news of the day, I got to comment on some of this. Shedeur, you just running out of superlatives to talk about his play. Aubrey Miller is doing his thing, obviously. But Garcia for Texas Southern University, he has Prairie View folks talking noise. The oddest thing after you come off a loss, but they just talking noise. Did you see? Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was interesting. And Garcia, along with Texas Southern and the coaches and their fans, got Southern folks just losing their rabbit ass mind.
Oh my God. Woo!
I'm like, wow.
It's
I get
too
it.
early.
I get
The
it.
season ain't over, guys. Gee whiz.
Yeah, I was like, can we get a couple of more data points? I guess not. Let me go to Steve Gaither and see what he thinks some of the hot HBCU takes out there for him. What's on your mind?
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot going on. Obviously, we're in the middle of football season, as joked a little bit earlier, but basketball as well. I know Mikey Williams, the young man from California, 4 or 5 star prospect who's been flirting with HBCUs pretty much his entire high school career. Recently told the I Am Athlete podcast that he's thinking about he's interested in visiting Jackson State as well. Initially, he had put out a list back in 2020. Going into his sophomore year, and one of the schools that he had 5 HBCUs on there. One of them was Alabama State, which at the time was coached by Coach Mo Williams, who's now who's over in Jackson, and so JSU wasn't on the list at that time. Now apparently he is on one of the lists of the HBCUs that he's interested in. This man, we've been chronicling his saga since 2020 as far as just his interest in HBCUs, his visits. He's a guy who went from California, came over here to North Carolina, the high school and college basketball capital of the world, in these neck of the woods. And he was over here for a couple of years. He's transitioned back over to California, but still, keeping HBCUs around his orbit. And I think a lot of folks are interested to see if, when it comes down to it, if he does decide to go to college, because he, is one of the prospects that, some folks say could maybe potentially go to the pro route, whether he will indeed choose one or will end up going the conventional route and choosing a Power 5 school. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I think some people are, have kind of been, on this for a while. So it'll be interesting to see how that's going, as well as him and some other guys like Bronny James, who's going to be in the class of 2023 as well. So I know we're in the middle of football season, but, basketball is right there as well. And I think that's a story that bears watching over the next couple of months and see what maybe this time next year we got him playing one of the HBCUs.
Yeah, great point. You do have a dope basketball pitch in the background, so it makes sense when you go there with your news. You are in basketball country because many people are saying not playing football around there, at least in Winston-Salem State. We'll leave that alone. We'll come back to that. But with that being said, it's not like Jackson State didn't need any more news to talk about. But, yeah, there is that. Let's go over here to Tuskegee Athletics. 700 wins.
Wow.
If you get a chance, go check out A.D. Drew's article with 700 wins. It's great information in terms of that. One of the winningest Division II programs out there. I know some people are 2-4. They make sure you get your informations on that. But more so than that, winningest HBCU program out there. So a lot of history when you talk about Tuskegee. Can you just really think about that? 700 wins.
It's amazing.
A lot of victories. I don't care what level, what you're doing, when you did it. That's exactly a lot of wins that'll bring a lot of pride with the program. So kudos for Tuskegee getting that done. Before I go back to Charles, let me give a shout out to Sarah Beverly, Kevin Harris, Noel Price in the building, Jimmy Wilson. Panthers 1876 is on this link today. Noel Price, Chuck Hunt, G. Boom Holly, Michael Lee, Ricky Burton, Chuck Hunt. Panthers 1876, as I said, LaShawn Harris, George Suggs, Troy Lamont Coleman. Must be a big matchup for A&T this week, South Carolina. We will get into breaking that down a little bit before the end of the week. I'm intrigued about that matchup. Thomas Einstein Maddox doing his thing. Who else we have in here? You Kellum is on in the building. I see it. Michael Knox, Frank K. Patterson. Kay Johnson, Gerald Wayne Joseph, that's Brother Joseph, past president, Alpha Eta Lambda, graduate chapter Alpha Alpha, that I'm a member of. Shout out to Brother Joseph.
Shout out to my son, Frank K. Patterson.
Patterson, that's who that is?
Yeah, bro, Patterson. Yeah.
Blow on here. Jeff Roberts, Reginald Johnson, Jerome Jeep Sutton, Wendy Jenkins Bishop. I know it, the better half. Theron Waters. Who else we have in here giving us some love, man? Y'all in here deep today. Appreciate you, Kevin Crawford. With that being said, let me go back to you, Charles. Give us one of our last news. What else you got on your mind today?
Yeah, let me share this that George Suggs sent to me. Congratulations to Jackson State's historical milestone held by South Carolina State's 1981 HBCU national champions. But Jackson State is the first team in 41 years to defeat Grambling, Tennessee State, and Florida A&M in the same calendar year. So that was nice, a little historical footnote. So I appreciate George Suggs for sending it to me.
That's pretty big. And, obviously we don't want to get too ahead of our skis. They might have a chance at the end of the season to put that final little notch on the belt that would be out of this world. You think about all those big brands out there. That's pretty unique. And getting it done this early in the season is crazy to tell you about the strength of the schedule. Bringing on that, before I get into the break, I did want to talk about poll rankings. Jackson State in the AFCA coaches FCS poll top 25. Jackson State is number 11. However, in the stats, FCS, we got a newcomer in there coming out of the MEAC, North Carolina Central, 3-0 after winning over a top 25 New Hampshire team at the time. They come in the poll, not ranked last week, but they're 25. In this same poll, you have Jackson at 11. So it's interesting to see how that moves up. There's a chance South Carolina State, in terms of what they do and what maybe people think about them, you could have two teams out of the MEAC rank in the top 25. And then it'll be interesting to see, can you find the SWAC at some point getting two teams in? Could you get 4 teams in the top 25 HBCU? Something to keep your mind on. It's early in the process to get 2 teams in there, so it's pretty good news when you think about it. I know HBCU Gameday does a ranking for both power divisions. Stephen Gaither, I'm sure you have Jackson State at number 1, but in your mid-major poll, a Division 2 poll, I'm not sure what you refer to. Who you have at number 1 on that side?
Yeah, we got JSU unanimous right now. They have been unanimous since week 1. As far as the Division 2 mid-majors, Virginia Union is on top right now until somebody knocks them off. They got a big matchup coming this weekend, but they're 3-0, especially, after beating Valdosta State. They took care of business, handled Livingstone at home last week. And we saw what they did to VUL, far more than what, Delaware State was able to do to them over the last week. So I think, they've definitely flexed their muscle, especially with Bowie State, falling a little bit. But, those two got a matchup that's going to come later in the season, which is always a knockdown, drag down affair. So, and then Albany State, of course, they've got the blip against FAMU, but solid wins in the D2 world. And then you got Benedict and Fort Valley State are rolling at 3-0. So there's a lot to be, still played out. But right now, Virginia Union sitting on top.
Let's get into it. Let me give a couple of more shout outs. Brother Wendell Davis on here, Jazzy Faye. Hey, y'all. He says at 11. In terms of what's going on there. And you already have South Carolina State, Troy Lamont saying, no, South Carolina State is about to get that L Saturday, so they will not be in the top 25. Just want everybody to know. Jazzy Faye, I'm late, laugh out loud. No, you good. Michael Lee is in the building as well. Let's get into our break, and we'll come back, and we'll give you Dr. Cavil's top 25. See how I set that up? We're going to see who knows what I'm talking about, see if these guys agree with my top 25 after we let everybody else get a little shine. Stick with us after this first quarter break, I should say, getting into the second quarter. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports
Tell everybody
Network.
They can follow their dreams.
Let's get back to getting ticks instead of watching flicks. Before we can safely get out there, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your crew.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language. And she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Before I get into the poll, I love the comments coming in. Let me first apologize to Jazzy Faye. I said he. Right after I said it, I read the name again. I said, that's a she. And she made sure that I corrected. Much love and my apologies. George Suggs is already in here. After you gave him a shout out, he feeling good and comfortable. He said, pride is on the line. A&T 35. That's North Carolina A&T. South Carolina State 30.
Ooh.
Ooh-wee. Upset of the year early as you come in. It'll be interesting. That'll be a fun one. I will have my eyes on it, Donald Crawford in the building. Jimmy Wilson already the fire folks. He worse than Southern. He said, well, Odom's last to the end of his contract. Can we get to like mid part of the season? The contract just started. Right? I mean, it was 2 FBS programs. One of the FBS programs had the upset over Notre Dame. You want to fire him there. Notre Dame want to fire their coach. Everybody want to fire somebody. Southern want to fire somebody. Just fire them all. You get a car, you get a key slip, you get a pink slip. All right, I got it. Top 25, let's get into it. And when we do our top 10, as we get into these poll rankings, some changes here as we get it later in the evening, in the season, I'll start doing the top 5. But right now, we're going to get into 10. With the top 10 programs, at number 10, you have Clark Atlanta Panthers, 1 and 2 on the season. They fall 2 spots. They find a way to stay in the poll. At number 9, Bluefield State, Big Blue. Not ranked last week. They jump in the poll, sitting in there getting it done in a lot of ways. They got 2 wins on 2 wins on the season. I say 1-0 as they move around. Continue to get it done. They're 1-1 on the season. Let me get that correct. We got the wrong records in there. At number 8, West Virginia State Yellow Jackets, 2-1 on the season, quietly making a move there. They were not ranked as they jumped in the top 25. At number 7, Virginia State Trojans are 2-1. Dr. Henry Frazier, is he rolling over there? He's going to do it this early? I'm not too sure about that, but it'll be fun as we get it done. That Virginia State-Virginia Union matchup will be interesting. Not ranked, but he's in the top 10 for this week. At number 6, Fort Valley State Wildcats, 3-0. 2-0 as they continue to win. Surprising a lot of folks, they just remain at the top 6 as the top 5 programs continue to get it done. No changes this week in the top 5. At number 5, Fayetteville State Broncos are 2-1. At number 4, Albany State Golden Rams are 2-1. You got Benedict Tigers at number 3, undefeated on the season, 3-0, quietly getting it done. That big matchup last Thursday as they got it done in so many different ways. At number 2, Langston Lions, 3-0 on the season as they keep it rolling. And Virginia Union Panthers are also by number 1. They have 4 votes, not unanimous, as you have 2, 3, and 4 also getting 2 votes, but they have it with 94 points. Virginia Union continues to get it done. Setting up for a top 10 matchup, so things might get interesting this week already. Charles, what do you think in terms of the mid-major poll ranking?
Where are the Shaw Bears? Where are the Shaw Bears? You break an 18-game conference win streak, the Shaw Bears need to be in the top 10. Sidney Gibbs wants his props.
Hey, man, they just got a victory. We question it.
I see 1 and 2 down there at 9 and 10. I want the Shaw Bears up there. They ain't even getting any votes coming in.
Well, maybe next week they get another win. Let me go to Stephen Gaither to see if he agrees with you, Shaw Bell. He's a CIAA specialist. If he says something, I might think twice. If not, I don't want to hear it. Go ahead, Steve.
So yeah, I did have Shaw in mind. So ours came out, but I'm looking at my individual one. I had Bluefield at 10, Virginia State at 9, West Virginia at 8. I bumped Bowie all the way down to 7. And then Shaw right above them because of course they did beat them again. You know,
Bowie State had to go. They fell out of mine. They had to go. They got to go.
Well,
nice.
They played a quality.
I see. I understand. Keep it going.
They played a quality schedule, and I think they will bounce back.
True.
Very tough opponents.
They're not supposed to lose to Shaw. They get you in trouble, man. I know it happens at some point, but you say Shaw is going to be all right.
I wouldn't be surprised if Shaw is in the CIAA championship game this year.
Whoa!
All right, I might have Shaw top 5. They keep rolling like that.
I know my guys in favor don't like to hear that, but I think they might be in for it. But and then I got Fort Valley, Benedict, and Albany State and Union. I don't have Langston. And obviously I'm aware. Of what they do. Maybe it's
y'all
a little
just
bit
don't
of
want to
DP
show
bias. I know
Langston, the team furthest west of the Mississippi. Y'all just gonna forget they played football. HBCU. They've been playing for a while. I like they haven't been good for a while, but y'all all right. NA ball, don't worry about it. NAIA ball, y'all get no love. I see. Come on, HBCU game day. You supposed to cover it off.
I do, and they did get some votes from us, but it's still early. Things are still matriculating for me. So
I got you. Let's get to the major division and see what goes on there. See what your thoughts are on that. In terms of receiving votes, Texas Southern University with their big win did not jump in the top 10, but still received the votes. Just outside of it, at 1-2, 1-1 in the conference race, Grambling State Tigers, they still getting votes 1 and 2 as they drop out of the poll is Alcorn State Braves. Dropping out was Grambling as well as Southern dropping out this week. In terms of number 10, the Florida A&M Rattlers, not ranked. They found a way, even though they didn't play last week, they're at 1 and 2. In terms of what they did earlier and all the other teams. At number 9, Prairie View and Panthers, 1 and 2. They fall one spot from 8. At number 8, you have Alcorn State Braves, 1 and 2 on the season, win over McNeese State, as they were not ranked, gets them back in the poll after being out of weeks. At number 7, Alabama State Hornets, 2 and 1 on the season. 6, big matchup this week as they face the top 10 matchup. Prairie View at home. It'll be interesting to see what that happens. We'll talk about that during this week as well. At number 6, Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions, 2 and 1 on the season, 74 points. They do fall a spot after loss. It was to a P5 Oklahoma State team. But they get a chance to make their statement as they face Alcorn State Braves. They're on the road, but that's a top 10 matchup as well. Some interesting matchups this week. At number 5, Delaware State Hornets, 2 and 1 on the season, 17 points. At number 4, Hampton Pirates, 3-0. They remain at number 4 as they are undefeated this season. At number 3, South Carolina State Bulldogs. They did not play last week, 1 and 1, still have 2 first-place votes. They dropped a spot as North Carolina Central jumps over them all the way to number 2, undefeated. And with 3 first-place votes, 100 points after their victory over New Hampshire on the road. At number 1, Jackson State Tigers. Halftime, played with everybody, but then in the second half, at least that third quarter, they just monkey stomp folks and just keep rolling, putting up points. Top 5 team in scoring with a couple of other FCS programs up there at 3-0, 1-0 in the conference race, 7 first-place votes. They get that first-place vote they lost last week, they get it back. Let me go to Stephen Gaither. What do you think about the top 10 poll major division?
Well, I think the top four, I actually agree with you all the way through 1 through 4. I think we're
good. You might be invited back.
right. So I have Alcorn State at 5. I have them at 5.
Alcorn State at 5. They beat 0-3 MEAC State. Y'all excited? Okay, I got you.
I could be convinced Alabama State ahead of it, but see, Alabama State beat Howard. It's Howard. And then they beat Miles, and it wasn't that convincing. Then they got the UCLA loss. So I saw them in person. I like what I saw in person. But I think Alcorn even though McNeese is not the McNeese that we normally know, I think sometimes
y'all doing a little bit of projection. The team play who they play, they win, lost. Y'all like to tell me what y'all think team's gonna be. I want to know what they are right now. But go ahead. It's your thoughts. Don't let me put my pressure on you. I'm just telling you this. Dr. Bill O'Reilly. We want you back on the show, so be careful.
So how can FAMU at 1 and 2 get on your top 10, but Shaw couldn't at 1 and 2 taking down Bowie State? I mean, if we're gonna call some stuff out here,
shut off the mic early. That's a good point, though. That is a good point. I'll give you that one.
I mean, and I have FAMU up there too. So I have Morgan State at 7. Their win over Sacred Heart, I think, is a really good win. Because everybody else is, 1 win. Everybody else on the list is 1 win. So I have them at 7, FAMU 8, Grambling 9, and I'm still holding on to Southern. They lost. They took it on the chin. I'm still holding on.
They shouldn't be on anybody's ranking. They get I
still have hope for them.
You got some love for Southern. I understand.
I was in Baton Rouge a couple weeks ago. I got a chance to see them against LSU, and if they take away some of the turnovers that they had, I mean, they did a lot of good things in that game.
That's true. They had 3 interceptions.
Clarence McKinney has just learned something about how to beat Southern University. They're keeping your guy's job, So, hopefully he's sending something to the Southern University Foundation. And
Steve Gaither, like the rest of you folks. He wants to find
he throwing little shots along the way.
But it's seriously a great win for Texas Southern. But so I think like I said, a lot to be shaken out at this point in the season. I'm still on. Okay, who have you played? Your win-loss record, and also will you bounce back? So that's kind of where my top 10 lies. I try not to.
Good stuff,
I don't want to vary too much at this.
No, that's good. Actually, the way you explain yourself, I'll make sure you get invited back. You did well. You didn't hurt me too well there, so I'm okay. You started to go left, and I got nervous there. But go ahead, Charles. What are your thoughts?
Dr. Bill, Alcorn. I know they vaulted into the top 10, but I probably would have vaulted them up just a little bit higher. That's one that those 2 out of conference games that they played thus far. One they should have had and let it go in the 4th quarter, and then they knock off McNeese State impressively.
Should have had.
You're right. I'll give you that. But I tell you what, no SWAC team in 15 tries has knocked off McNeese State, and Alcorn did it this past weekend. So that weighed pretty heavy for me. And you know what?
That's solid. That's why they got. That's why they got back in the top 10 and number 8.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I almost got emotional with Coach McKinney this past weekend. Not only did they beat Southern, but it was a shutout. And for that Texas Southern defense, they had my predictions about them finishing second. Like that was burning in flames, but shutout this past weekend. And that's a good Southern football team. That was as shocking as anything I saw this past weekend. So at 1 and 2, they might have bumped the Rattlers this past weekend. I might have gotten him in there at number 2.
I like that.
That's how impressive that win was.
I can see that. You're a part of the show, so I can't kick you off. So I'm sure that makes some sense. Some sense there. And not only did you get a little misty-eyed, hell, Coach McKinney got misty-eyed himself after the interview in terms of that. But he had good reasons to be excited about that win. It'll be interesting this week. The thing that I will say about Alcorn State Braves, they have a chance to make a solid statement. They have a top 10 matchup with number 6 Arkansas Pine Bluff. So it's
Yeah,
easy to
that's a good
replace depending on what they do this weekend. That's why I love week-to-week matchups, week-to-week polls when you have these type of matchups. And in fact, we'll get into that in after this break. We'll get into the second half of the show, third quarter. We'll get into the mid-major, some games of the week in terms of those games, and we'll get you talking there. We'll bring in our other specialists after the break, so look to us. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
The new GMC Sierra with hands-free driving offers the most advanced and luxurious pickup in its class. Yeah, it rocks.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
The analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, yeah, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside HBCU Sports Lab, as we have Professor Bishop, we have adjunct Professor Stephen Gaither, and we had the clinical Professor A.D. Drew, always in the house. How are you doing today? I see you got your Tuskegee pride on, 700 wins. Your chest is out. I like that. Go ahead, represent.
700, man. You know, no one expected them to get 700 against that team. Against West Alabama. Yeah. And we talked about this on the show on Sunday. You know, I've had that article pretty much written for almost a year now. Because about a you know, it was October of last year when they picked up number 699. So I started writing the article, just waiting. And we were talking about what game was Tuskegee going to get 700 last year. Nowhere in that conversation did anyone say it will be next year. So that article has been sitting, waiting. The only thing I had to do was update the game information, and didn't know I was going to have to update the coaching portion of it when I did the original article, but added those two things in, and hey, let's roll with it.
I know we did a little bit about the poll rankings. I know we had the HBCU poll rankings that are out there. Who are the top teams in those HBCU Pro Sports Media poll rankings?
In the HBCU Pro Sports Media Association poll, as I pull it up, we'll start with the major. Obviously, Jackson State is the unanimous number one, 20 voters in the HBCU Pro Sports Media Association poll. Came in with 200 polls, and I'll just go through the top 5 for you. Central 2, Hampton. Well, I'll quickly go through them. Hampton 3, Bama State 4, South Carolina State 5, Alcoa 6, Delaware State 7, UAPB 8, Prairie View 9, Florida A&M 10. No one was receiving votes outside of those in the major division. Quickly going down the mid-major, Virginia Union won 182 points, 12 of the 20 first place votes. Albany State 165, 5 first place votes. Benedict 3, 158, 1 first place vote. Fort Valley 4, 147, 2 first place votes. Finishing it on out. Langston, Fayetteville State was 6, Virginia State 7, West Virginia State 8, Bowie State 9, Bluefield State was 10, and Steve, your Shaw Bears was receiving votes.
Those aren't my Shaw Bears. But
well, you the CIAA whisperer, so I've got to give them. Just like I'm giving you Bowie State and Union.
I'm Stephen Gaither, founder of HBCU Gameday. They're not my Shaw Bears, but they do deserve to be.
Hey, but you've been prognosticating on show, so we gonna give CIAA some love and say they was receiving votes. And the one thing, HBCU Pro Sports Media Association, 8 different media organizations, voters in 9 different states: Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, and Connecticut.
Nice. Spread out. Let's get into some of this CIAA. We're going to start with this matchup here. Mid-major classic game of the week is Eddie McGirt Classic, Irwin Belk Complex in Charlotte, North Carolina. Lincoln, Pennsylvania. Lions sitting at 1-2 on 1 at Johnson C. Smith. Golden Bulls 0-2 on the season. CIAA, Steve Gaither, give us some updates. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? Classic game of the week.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. You know, Lincoln has been the doormat of the CIAA pretty much since it got into the league after reestablishing football and everything like that. And you know, they're everybody's homecoming opponent. And you know, year after year. And you know, but this year they opened up the season with a win over Central State University. I'm sorry, they lost to Delaware State, but you know, it wasn't as bad as they've lost. And they've, you know, also, you know, beat Central State, and they've been competitive. And so I know they got some folks in Winston-Salem sweating about a homecoming that they got going on in another week, but we'll take care of that when it gets there. Johnson C. Smith, meanwhile, you know, they're 0-3, but they've got a lot of excitement down in Charlotte. Their head coach, formerly at Fort Valley, Coach Flowers, he's a Johnson C. Smith alumnus, and you know, they're really excited about him. Smith is you know, one of those schools. They're part of the first 2, them in Livingstone, and you know, they've taken their lumps over the years in football, but they're hoping to get some things going on Beatty's Ford Road. So I think both teams. This could be a toss-up. They have shown the ability to play on offense under Coach Flowers. He brought his quarterback with him from Fort Valley. So I think Johnson C. Smith, if they don't win this game, they're going to feel like there might not be too many more other wins other than, you know, maybe a couple other CIAA South foes. So I think it'll be very interesting, and I think it'll be one of those games that it'll be a close game.
It will be entertaining. He's telling you. Let's go over to this SIC matchup and go to our other group 80 group. This is a top 10 matchup, unlike the CIAA. We will get the CIAA tough matchup on Thursday. Sorry, Steve Gaither. We might go to you and let you get a little sneeze of that as well, since we got you in today to talk about and give your thoughts on that. But let me go to Drew and ask him about this independent non-conference matchup. Number 6, Fort Valley State Wildcats 3-0. At number 10, Bluefield State Big Blue 2-1 on the season. Can they get the biggest surprise of the year? Or is Fort Valley really who we thought they are? Tell us, Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? As you write for the D2 SIC, we want to know your thoughts on this.
This will be Fort Valley's longest road trip of the season when they travel to West Virginia. The rest of their games are in either Georgia, South Carolina, or the state of Alabama. So the reason I bring that up is don't expect a lot of people to be traveling from Fort Valley, Georgia, up to Bluefield, West Virginia, to Mitchell Stadium. So Bluefield State would definitely have a home field advantage. I'll tell you one thing, expect a quick game. Both these teams love to run the ball. You know, this game will be definitely done in less than 3 hours, probably going to be closer to that 2:30 to 2:45 time as far as actual time on the clock between these two. I mean, Fort Valley. Can you stop their run game? That is the question. Can Bluefield State stop their run game? That's what's going to determine this particular matchup. But let's remember, Fort Valley struggled against Allen last week, who also has a stellar run game. So don't be interested. Bluefield has more than a puncher's chance in this game. A turnover here, turnover there. Hey, let's talk about Big Blue with the victory. And that's
great point.
SIAC whisperer.
Charles, if you would, let me do an audible. Since we have Stephen Gaither here, let me tease out with that CIAA game of the week that we'll talk about more on Thursday. But while we have him, we got a top 5 matchup in the CIAA in terms of the poll rankings we just released today. We had number 1, Virginia Union Panthers, 3-0, 1-0 overall. At number 5, Fayetteville State Broncos, 2-1, 1-0. Some people may say this is a prelude to the CIAA championship. Top 25 votes and those things are on the line in a lot of ways. Your ranking in terms of the playoffs as these teams kind of continue to move out. Stephen Gaither, we got you now. I want to know, this is a good one. See, you thought I was going to leave you with that dud over there. No, I got you. I'm going to show you some love. Let me know, what are your thoughts on this top matchup?
I think for me, it's going to be interesting. Fayetteville State, obviously, they've been the bridesmaids. Every year they've been, thumping their chest about winning the CIAA South and everything like that. And but Coach Hayes has done a great job with the program of getting it consistently to where it is the standard bearer in the CIAA South. But they haven't been able to get over that hump this year. They're hoping to do it, but they lost a lot of players, a lot of talented players, still had a lot of talent left. They got the win over UNC Pembroke. Again, we're talking about, one of the teams that they compete with in their area for players, and they had never beaten them. So they got that win. They were feeling good. And then they went and laid an egg against Wingate, another D2 team that, if you're in the CIAA and as a contender, you want to be able to beat those type of teams. So they laid the egg there. And then, now they were able to beat Lincoln. But it wasn't as easy as a Lincoln victory usually is, back to my point earlier. So, meanwhile, Virginia Union, what can you say? They did what they did against VUL. They went toe-to-toe with Valdosta State and came out with the win in Georgia. And then they did what they had to do against Livingstone, another 40-plus, point victory. So I think, I'm going to have to give it to Virginia Union right now. They're going to be on the road. It's going to be a tough atmosphere, but I think Dr. Alvin Parker and his guys are going to come in there ready. But I'm expecting a great matchup either way. So,
Steven, who's going to stop Jada Byers?
That would be the question. A lot of those big space eaters that they had last year, Keshawn James is no longer eligible to play. He's gone. A lot of other guys as well. So yeah, Jada Byers has been, quietly, 200 yards a game. He could be over 1,000 yards before we hit October. So, very, very potent offense. And I think Virginia Union is, this is a statement chance for them for sure, as well as for Fayetteville State. They've kind of, in these last couple of years, they've kind of, been able to get away with beating some, not the best teams in the CIAA North. If we're being honest, they haven't had to play Bowie in the regular season. When you get a Lincoln and traditionally in a Elizabeth City, or, even some years the way you get them Chowan, those crossover wins are easier to come by than the Bowie States and now the Virginia Union. So I think this is going to be a great test for them to see if they really do still have that championship level DNA, or if Virginia Union is really going to assert itself as the team to beat now.
Can I get one quick one in, Dr. Cavil?
Yeah, quickly.
I just want to know who Dr. Parker made bad in the CIAA office. Have you seen Virginia Union's road schedule in the CIAA? Not only do they travel to Fayetteville State, but they also travel to Bowie State and to Virginia State this year. So they get it done. Yeah, by predicted order finish, the 3 top teams in the CIAA, Union has them all on the road.
They went to Valdosta and won.
Road warriors.
Yeah. If you go put your pen on it and make your statement flag early, they did it with that one. So they say bring it on, all comers or not. But you're right, AD Drew. if you get it done in style like that, it not only bodes well for the confidence of your team, but in terms of the playoff seeding and ranking, which a lot they're playing for. I know it's early, but these things should set up well for that. Let's get into our last break. We'll get into the fourth quarter. We'll come back with some major division discussions, and we'll break that down as we got some good games on the major division side with some classics, independent games, and then we'll call it a night. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this last break.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Don't worry, Ma. We'll be there soon.
We? Is this the one?
Well, let's say I found the one who takes me to another level. Always stays calm under pressure. Most importantly, the one that helps me discover the coolest places.
This sounds wonderful.
Come outside, I'll introduce you.
They're here.
Definitely the one.
Introducing the all-new Nissan Frontier.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplify Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplify Development Services.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, trying to get down.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside HBCU Sports Lab. Coming back for our last fourth quarter. Put the four up. Let's get into it. Lorman, Mississippi. Jack Spinks Stadium, SWAC, Saturday, September the 24th, 6 o'clock, and this is on HBCU Go TV. You have number 6 Arkansas at Pine Bluff. UAPB, the Golden Lions, 2-1 on the season, come into a Western Division matchup. They're on the road to number 8 Alcorn State Braves. Top 10 matchup, 1-2 on the season. Should be interesting. Charles, what are your thoughts on this matchup? Man, we're already excited about the West. It's wide open. Somebody gets to make another statement to say that we want to be in the mix. What are your thoughts in terms of this game?
Yeah, this is a game where with UAPB, especially quarterback Skylar Perry, he has to show up in this game. I mean, as he goes, so goes UAPB. And if they're going to get this win down there in Lorman, which is already a tough place to play, he has to be able to utilize his skills, both throwing and running the football. But it's going to be tough. I think Alcorn gets this win coming into the season. We knew Nico Duffy to be the bell cow running back for Alcorn, but they have other pieces back there. They rushed for over 200 yards this past weekend against McNeese State. Javante Leatherwood and Jarvin Howard. They bring some nice punch along with Nico Duffy. Javante Leatherwood, he rushed for 8 yards this past weekend at McNeese State. So I think Alcorn will get the win. But, you know, for UAPB, for us to really consider them in the West, Skylar Perry has to show in these type games.
Oh, good comments. Good comments. Let me go to you, AD Droop. What are your thoughts in terms of this SWAC matchup? Top 10?
I concur with Charles. Skylar Perry's got to show up for this particular game. But let's be real. This is one of those games that we penciled in for Alcorn earlier in the season. Now they've got the confidence after the victory that they had last week.
It's a big win
against McNeese, and they're at home once again. UAPB on the road, going back on the road after they took that butt whipping by Oklahoma State. Cash the check, but you took an L. So how confident will UAPB be going back into this game? Can they reach back to the confidence that they got in those first two games when they beat Lane and the Little Sisters of the Poor? Who was that, Northwestern State or whoever they beat that second game? I don't even think they were NCAA school. So, first FCS opponent this year for UAPB. Got to lean towards Alcorn on this one.
Stephen Gaither, what do you think in terms of Pine Bluff and Alcorn? Obviously, the way these guys thinking, the lower ranked team is going to get in there. So I guess the upset to some degree is there, but maybe not. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Enough said.
Alcorn.
There it is. I do want to say this in terms of another kid getting out of Texas, Missouri City, Texas, transfer quarterback. But people don't realize that he's playing really well. That's Aaron Allen.
Yeah.
We got 5 Texas quarterbacks leading teams in the SWAC. It is fascinating to see. Jackson State, you know what Shador Sanders is doing over there. You see what's going on with Andrew Body over at Texas Southern, Aaron Allen getting it done. Obviously, questions in terms of injuries. To do matchups, you got a Texas quarterback matchup in the next game in terms of Prairie View going to Alabama State. We'll talk about that on Thursday.
Yeah.
That's fascinating when you get into it. But we're going to go back to the Carolina country. Greensboro, North Carolina, independent non-conference. You saw some of the folks in the chat talking about this matchup, educating us a little bit in terms of Carolina. For a major division matchup, you can Greensboro, North Carolina, Truist Stadium. MEAC versus the Big South, Saturday, September the 24th, 6 o'clock, ESPN Plus. You have number 3 South Carolina State Bulldogs, 1-1 on the season. They haven't fared too well against North Carolina A&T. Coach says they can run, but they can't hide. Where they going to first, Big South, Colonial. He said, no, we want them on the schedule. And I think he wants a little payback. You talk about the Aggie pride. They said, not so fast, my friends. We have a plan for you all. Upset or not? Stephen Gaither, start with you. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? Do we get one of the biggest upsets of the year? Is Bulldogs going to show now we're for real?
I think this is going to be an intriguing matchup. A&T they just haven't been the A&T that we've seen over the last couple of years. South Carolina State, they're coming off the bye week. And A&T's, they kind of beat up. They played Central. They played North Dakota State. They played Duke. You know what I mean? They played some physical games. Have they found their quarterback in Mr. Brickhalter? Their running game obviously has been doing the thing for sure. The Aggies they're gonna come out. They're gonna make a lot of noise. And I think South Carolina State. I think for a lot of folks like me, they won the Celebration Bowl, they won the MEAC, but they didn't beat North Carolina A&T last year, and I think they want to complete that. So I don't think they would love anything more than to go into East Greensboro, as they refer to it, and pick up the win. I think right now I would say I'm going to go A&T. So we'll see.
Wow!
I'm gonna go with A&T. I'm gonna go with those guys over in East Greensboro. They're at home. I think that's gonna be enough for them.
AD Drew, what are your thoughts on this matchup? You winch your eyes. I'm not sure you go in the same direction. Go ahead, let us know.
Look, A&T has not looked good this particular season. They didn't look good against Central. They damn sure didn't look good against North Dakota State. And, they got it. Once again, they got a check last week, but did not look good against Duke. South Carolina State, after not looking good week 1, rebounded and put a shellacking on Bethune-Cookman. And when do you want to win? Going into a bye week. That's what South Carolina State did. So not only are they happy going into the bye week, then when they get back to practice, and focus on North Carolina A&T, they are doubly focused because you got the rest and you got a victory. I've got to lean towards the Bulldogs on this one, Steve.
That's a good one.
I'm not gonna try anything to the Aggies either way. So
now
they're home.
I'm just saying. I feel you. All we want is a field that's fair. That's George Suggs again. Aggies 35, South Carolina State 30. He's at home and he asking for a fair field. I don't get it. Go ahead, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of this match?
It's been tough for South Carolina State overcoming North Carolina A&T. The question for me is, which Corey Fields am I going to get? The Corey Fields so far this season, he's been shaky. 11 of 31 passes, only 35% completion ratio. So that, is it's making me think you're going to have to put the ball in the Kendra Flowers' hands a lot in this game. Can North Carolina A&T, can their rush defense, can they stop him? Because if they can stop him, it's going to make South Carolina State kind of one-dimensional to me. And that doesn't play into their hands. So I like A&T at home.
Shaq Davis, 2 touchdowns.
A&T at home, man.
Yeah.
Everybody is not believing
Shaq Davis, 2 touchdowns.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I believe in Shaq Davis. I believe in it.
I think you
Can't
had
throw the ball to
some
himself.
fair play in terms of the offense. What'd you say, Steve?
Can't throw the ball to himself.
Look,
Exactly.
you can make a bad throw, and Shaq Davis at 6'5" can help you out tremendously.
I think one thing that y'all missing is just how good that South Carolina State defense is. You can win some games, as we've seen with Jackson State. Yeah, you can have a great offense, but if your offense is a little off one night for whatever reason, i.e. Tennessee State, Jackson State, you got a defense like that, you can still win some games. We've seen that this season. We've seen that all last year. So one thing I think you want to keep in mind is that South Carolina State defense. That's why I'm intrigued about this 35-30 score. I don't see it getting that high. I think it's going to be more of a slugfest, running the ball, old-fashioned, old-day MEAC type matchups, if you will. And I think it's going to be much lower scoring. But I think South Carolina State, the Bulldogs, find a way to continue to make it interesting and speed on until we get to the end of October for that South Carolina State hosting North Carolina Central matchup. Should be a top 5 matchup by that time. A lot of football to be played. That'll do it for us today. Want to say thanks for Stephen Gaither joining us. AD Drew always stepping in and doing his thing. But let's get out of here. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Again, thanks Stephen Gaither joining us of HBCU Gameday. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be back Thursday at 6 o'clock. Jumped in there with AD Drew. He's always getting it done in terms of what they do with Sports Rap, with Brian in the AD show, and other things as this talented brother gets done. We want to look forward to Thursday. We'll give you some more latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattaCavil, DrKenyattaCavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Horse.
AD?
Lecture.
Steven?
Dismissed.
Got it. 100 on the brain.
Got it this time.
He got it. A+.